Welcome to the Julie Salant Podcast, the place to reconnect to your heart and live your soul purpose. This is where you will find inspiring information on how to reconnect to your heart, get into mind, body, spirit alignment, and step into your personal power. Together, we will hear messages from the sacred animal kingdom, discuss how to reframe success that works best for you, and learn to step into divine flow, allowing you to do what your soul came here to do. Thank you for being here. And now, let's tune in to today's show.
I have Beth Lauren Parrish with me today. She is an encouraging equestrian coach, which I love and we're going to talk about. She's a CHA certified level 3 instructor in both English and Western disciplines, and she's taught thousands of lessons in the past 19 years. She started writing in 1986, and she has a BA in International Studies from UNC Chapel Hill, and she decided to be a full-time instructor after falling in love with teaching at a summer camp in Maine. So I am so happy to have you here. Thank you for being here, Beth, on the show. I love it.
Thank you for having me.
Can you give us a little bit of background for the listeners as to how you started with horses, kind of bringing us up to what you're doing today?
Absolutely. Well, I was a little girl and always in love with animals. And at 8 years old, I had a great uncle who I admired and did fox hunting. And he was the only one in the family who was involved with horses. He actually passed away, and it was the first death in the family to really affect me. So I asked my family if I could start taking riding lessons to keep it in the family. Like, it was just my way of grieving, and they were really hesitant because none of them knew anything about horses. They found me like a local barn 10 minutes away, and I started taking lessons, and that was it. I fell in love. And I soon went to another school that was even better. It was on Long Island. It was called Thomas School of Horsemanship, and it was a riding school during the year, and then summer camp where they brought in even more horses for you to ride every day, and I was hooked. So
Awesome.
If I was ever out of line in school, my parents would say no lessons, so I would shape up really quick. So I never owned a horse as a youngster. There were a couple summers where I got to lease a horse for a couple months, and that was like a huge deal for me. And now that I look at it, it helped me become a more rounded human because I was able to go to college and study abroad and not feel attached to a horse or have to board it. So it wasn't until I left college where I was able to actually finally own my first horse.
Okay. Wow.
It was really interesting. So I rode countless school horses, and I ended up moving from that school to go with my one trainer. I fell in love with her program, and she let me ride her event horse, and that was like a big deal. Like, okay, she's letting me ride her horse. I'm moving up in the world. So
yes, that's awesome.
It was fun, and I did a lot of like equitation, little jumper classes, and my trainer worked with Ann Gribbins, who's obviously a wonderful dressage trainer, and so she taught me dressage in between the jumps without me realizing it as a child.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And as I decided to become an instructor after I worked at that summer camp in Maine, I mean, I got a degree in international studies, and I really thought I was going to perhaps work for the UN or another international organization. And I just said, let me pump the brakes and like take a break off for the summer. And I saw an ad for instructors, and I went for it. And then I was teaching beginners at the beginning of the summer. By the end of the summer, I was teaching kids how to jump. Okay, this is really what I love to do.
Wow.
And
That's
I couldn't tell you what I learned in college, but I'll remember every single lesson I've had since I was 8 years old. So.
Wow. It's so funny that you say that because so I have a similar background. You know, nobody except for my one aunt was a rider. Nobody knew anything about it. And for all the listeners out there that may not share that background, that can be a little tough sometimes because nobody really understands. They think you're going to grow out of it, number one.
Oh, yes.
They look at it as it's very expensive and they're not tied to it. So they kind of are thinking, well, maybe it's just a phase you're going through, right?
Right. And that's what they hoped. And my parents even told me that as I got older. I was like, sorry.
No such luck. So from there, you started schooling, you started teaching, and then how did you evolve into an encouraging equestrian coach?
Well, this was interesting. I mean, as a young instructor, I followed everything to the T, very classical, and everyone had to have, I followed very much like the centered riding way, where everyone had to have a proper balance. And I actually ended up from Maine, I got a job in New York City at the Chelsea Piers. It's a huge indoor arena. There were 40 lesson horses, about 10 lessons going on at once.
Wow.
It was like Grand Central. And I was teaching children, adults, beginners, advanced. And then when I had free time, which I did because I'd get there so early because of traffic, I would be able to take lessons with the other instructors. So
awesome.
I was just like the biggest sponge, like teach me everything.
Yes, yes.
So from there, I just got too cold, and the timing was just right because I left for California and ended up being an assistant for someone out there. And then a few months later, 9/11 happened. Mm-hmm. So it was just one of those timing things where it worked out. It was really sad, of course, but all the horses moved back to the countryside. So I was kind of glad. And now I think the mounted police took that facility over, which made me happy because they had like a basement of stables where they'd come to the outdoor arena over there and just practice some. So it was good that they took that over.
Yeah, so it worked out. So that's such a big change, going from somewhere remotely a little bit in the country or way out in the country to the city like that. Even if you have your own, huge arena, it's still, you still feel the bustle and kind of the fast pace that you might not feel. And that transfers into the saddle, right? Did you what were your thoughts on that?
What was interesting, it's teaching in New York City, there was also a really big liability issue. So none of the students were allowed to physically groom the horse and get the horse ready and connect with them. So it was just the groom would get the horse ready, and then the rider and I would meet the horse fully tacked up in the arena, and then they would send them back when they were done cooling them down. And I remember as an instructor, even a beginner instructor, I thought, they're missing a huge element of the horsemanship part.
Absolutely.
When I started my own programs, I would explain to every student, children and adults, you need to have extra time because you're going to learn how to connect with the horse, brush them, care for them, and treat them like gold the way they treat us when we ride them.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. That's where a lot of that bonding takes place.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? Before and after the ride, I think there's more bonding done during that time in groundwork than anything else, to be completely honest with you, right? Do you agree with that?
That's immediately when they start to feel your energy. Yeah. And then they can get a sense of you and you can get a sense of them. Yeah. And that's how, as I've been teaching over the years, I started to really start to trust my instincts more. I can go more into that later, but I developed a protocol. I call it the mounting block ritual. So not only are you connecting on the ground, grooming and noticing what's going on with your horse, if they're fidgety or if they're relaxed, but before you go to ride, you actually take the time, take some breaths, get yourself really grounded, and then you put a hand on the withers and a hand on the rump of your horse, and you just send them low, and you appreciate them, and you imagine what the ride felt like and how amazing it was, and send them love for the fact that you got to ride.
Yeah.
And then the horse just relaxes and goes, oh, there's my human.
Yeah.
And then they start the ride. So it's like you're appreciating what you are about to do. And it just like sets the tone for the lesson so much better.
So much better. Yeah. That's so great. We're so similar in a lot of ways, because that's a lot of what I talk about, exactly what you just mentioned, and about not bringing all the junk with you that happens during the day. Like if you had a fight with your boss, if you got cut off in traffic, you bring all this stuff with you to the barn, and then you expect this great ride, and they're like, even if you're smiling, they can see all this stuff swirling around.
Oh yeah, they feel it immediately.
Right? So I love that you're setting the tone, and you're setting the tone for the rider too, if they have nerves, and to calm them down, which we'll get all into, but let's just pick up. So now you, after 9/11, were you in California, or where did you end up?
I was in California at the time, and both my brother and sister were in Manhattan, and that was scary. I couldn't get a hold of them for a while, but they ended up being okay.
Okay.
And then, I just continued teaching in California, and I was working for a woman, and we were retraining racehorses to jump.
Wow. And okay.
She taught me a lot, and a lot of what not to do. I'll be honest, it wasn't the best experience, but I did learn a lot.
Yep.
And I fell off more than I remembered ever. at that program because some of these racehorses were a little bit, excited. And
Just a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah. So there was one fall that was so bad that I had a compound fracture on my elbow and my arm. And what was so fascinating about that fall is that morning before I went to work, I had a voice say, "You are going to fall off today." And, I'm like early 20s, I'm thinking, that was weird. Well, I just have to do my job and make my boss proud and just get on the horse and do my thing, and didn't think much of it. As I'm in the hospital, I thought, man, I could have lunged the horse. I could have done all these things, and I didn't, and I ignored the voice. So that was my big aha moment. Okay, you need to listen to your instincts. You have a huge gut feeling, and it was an actual voice. So that was one of those things where, one, I taught my students, if you have a voice or a gut feeling, you got to tell me because I can't hear it.
Yes.
So they have to express that, and they have to be trusting enough to hear it and express it to me while we're in a lesson. And then the other thing I learned is after that fall, it took me months to get my courage back up to just ride my steady horse. So then it taught me to become more compassionate and learn that fear is a real thing with horses. And you have to respect it, and you have to go as slow as you need to. And now I tell people, if you need to dial it back, just let me know. It's no problem. And if you have to hop off, that's okay too. So all the things where as a younger instructor I might have pushed, and now that moment in time was like, nope, totally different way of teaching now. It was amazing.
Wow. And I can so appreciate that, because being intuitive and empathic, which you are as well, we get these nudges. And a lot of times we listen to our ego mind as being, well, no, that's weird, or, oh, that's dumb, or just keep going. That's never, and then before you know it, it really happens. And do you talk about this with your students? And can you elaborate on that a little bit in terms of, let's just say that maybe I got on and all of a sudden I said to you, I feel like something's off today with either me or with him. Can we switch it up? Or because, and I'm asking you this question because a lot of listeners are afraid to ask their trainers these questions. There's a lot of pressure involved, especially if you're showing. Even if you're an amateur, you want to do better, but showing, you seem to be under a stricter timeline. And also the thought of, I'm paying money for this lesson, so I want to get the most out of it. I feel like there's a lot of people that maybe feel this way, but they don't want to voice this.
Yes, and this is an issue that comes up a lot with my remote students who are in lessons, and it's something I continually encourage them to do is you have to tell your instructor how you're feeling. You're the one paying for the lesson, and ultimately it's all about how you're feeling and how the horse is feeling. And if it doesn't feel right, you have to say something. So I had a student once get on, and clearly something just wasn't quite right. She just didn't feel good. And then the horse, very steady horse, started to get really agitated and started to kind of dance around. And she just gave me a look, and I was like, okay, I'm coming over. And I literally just started giving her a pony ride. I said, all you need to do is close your eyes and breathe and feel his movement. And I've since learned that's called rhythmic riding, and it actually helps you retrain your brain to regulate and settle down. So you're just literally letting yourself being taken by the horse, walking and feeling that movement.
And what is it called?
Rhythmic riding.
Rhythmic riding. Okay. Yep.
Natural Lifemanship is another certification program that helps with the, my brain just went, equine assisted psychotherapy.
Yes. Yeah. Gotcha.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Actually, I got that right here. It's my certification here. When I did that,
there you go.
as an equine professional. So I got certified to work with certified therapists as an equine professional. So when they work with a client and a horse, then I'm there to interpret what the horse is doing and keep everyone safe.
Wow. So that's a huge job, because you are that person that's interpreting what's going on if others can't either A, voice it, or B, they don't really understand. And that seems like that's where a lot of the issues come from, that the humans having something that they want to say, but they're not able to or are afraid to for whatever reason, and the horse as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I use that training for my regular students as well, and it helps so much. So I can notice now, since I've been through some of those sessions when something doesn't seem right, or they'll just get tense, and I can tell when they stop breathing, like immediately. I mean, I can see it on a horse too. So a lot of my lessons are like, are you breathing?
I'm laughing because I'm the biggest person. I do that all the time.
Yeah.
I forget to breathe because I'm thinking, and I forget to breathe. And my instructor used to say, breathe, Julie, breathe, because and that's what, as you said, it slows everything down. Your body has to slow down. There's no other choice. And then your horse breathes, and there's calming signals back and forth. So breathing is huge, people.
Yeah, and then it reminds me as an instructor to breathe too. So it's like win-win-win for the horse.
Yes.
But yeah, so the biggest thing is I always tell students and anyone just riding around, if something doesn't feel right, say it out loud. Don't be afraid to hop off if you need to and connect back on the ground. So,
Yes. So, and in terms of some of your students that have maybe had, you said something important, which was it took you a while to get your courage back up. Now, this is coming from an instructor, someone who's been doing this for a long time, as pretty much a professional at it, right?
Yep.
So a lot of us struggle with that. We've had a fall, and then the fear kicks back in. And it's not that there's even a blame of my horse, but maybe I don't trust myself. And how can we get over that? Do you have any tips or any thoughts for people that might be struggling with that fear? They want to get on, but when they get on, their heart's pounding so much and they're nervous, they're scared.
Yeah, well, my biggest thing is you need to address it before you even get back to your horse. So what I suggest is you actually sit down with a journal and start free writing and asking your fear what it needs. And then you can start writing out whatever comes up. So it's like inviting your fear to a tea party. So you're sitting with it, you're addressing it, and you're asking your body that has innate wisdom what it needs from you to help you feel better.
Wow, I have to write this down.
That's actually lesson 1 in my Face Your Fears course. So I actually made an online course for it. So
that's great. That's great because so many people need this. So I was in speaking with people like yourself. I've been learning just recently. I'm talking within the last couple of weeks, and I've had horses over 20 years. I've been riding a long time. That I always thought fear had, obviously I know all the bad things it does. I did not realize that fear could be a good thing.
Oh, it's a gift.
And see, I don't look at it that way. I look at it as this sucks. I can't get rid of it. I try to sweep it under the rug. I don't even feel like I can face it head on, and it just grows and grows and grows. And I hate it. Right. So when you sit with it, you're asking what did you say? What does my body need?
Fear. Well, what do you need from me? What do you need to
go away, you mean?
What do you need to dissipate, and what do you need? What is the message, really? What is the message you're giving me right now?
Is it different for every single person, or what are some common themes?
Yeah, it's always different for different people. So, I mean, some it could be just as simple as you need to breathe, and you need to ask every morning what your focus is for the day.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it for me is talking to my inner guidance system. So that's something I talk about, is getting in tune with that, and also learning how to develop your own inner compass. So I mentioned basically that you want to trust your body's innate wisdom. So there's a technique called muscle testing, and you can use that to create a clear yes feeling and a clear no feeling when you're asking for something. So let's say you're feeling like you want to ride, but you're a little nervous. So you're going to ask your body, should I ride today? And if you've already created that yes, no feeling in your body, it'll tell you clearly.
Yes.
And if it says no, then you have to take a step back and think, okay, maybe I'm just doing groundwork then.
Yes. Yes. I love that.
You're facing your fear, and you're creating a compass. So you're giving yourself powerful tools. Then from there, I really suggest creating a mantra for yourself with a feeling tone connected to it.
Mm-hmm.
So what you do is you get yourself in a state of feeling the most confident, and it doesn't have to do with horses. Like, say you were like the best tennis player in the world as a child, and you like won your championship and you felt amazing. So you get that feeling welling up into your body. And then you choose a mantra, something like, I feel powerful, or we've got this. And you put that into that feeling. And then you can also add a tactical feeling. Like say for me, I touch my horse's mane.
Mm-hmm.
So I could say, we've got this, and I've got that feeling going, and the words. So you can use all of those things to solidify it, and that helps you come back into your body.
Right. Nice.
So a lot of times when you're fearful, you feel like you're floating away, right? You're not present and grounded and connected. And when that happens, that's when you can, pop off easier.
Yes.
So you want to make sure you're grounded and connected to your horse. So
absolutely. A pop off.
I like to wiggle my toes and my boots because that helps remind me to ground.
Yes. Yes. Like that's so important, because I always feel like we need to check in with ourselves. Yes. Right? We have a lot going on. And I think a lot of riders think it's a bad thing to get off their horse. And it's not, because there's so much that we can do on the ground. We can bring out the cones. We can have a good time and really make it fun for them and for us, and grow and learn. And there's always new things to learn, right?
Absolutely. And really, when you hop off, you're actually honoring your horse, because you're not really able to be with them. So it's not fair to keep pushing through. That's right. Another thing, another perspective to look at. So it's not like you're just disappointing yourself. You're honoring your horse and yourself. Right. And then once you're on the ground, you can do in-hand work and do all sorts of fun things. So yeah, it's totally worth it. Or you just call it a day, give your horse a hug, brush him, and say, hey, I'll try it again tomorrow. It's no big deal. And the horse will go, oh, phew, good. I think you'll be better tomorrow. Don't worry.
Don't worry. We can do this again. Don't worry about it. I'll be right here.
And there's so much more forgiving. I mean, during the animal communication, a lot of times they just want to remind us how magnificent we are.
Yeah. And they forgive us for everything, even though sometimes they don't need to, but they are just such healing and forgiving beings, and they really want to help us. There's been times where I've literally tacked up and untacked. There's been times where I literally was like all ready to ride in my breeches. And then I got there and I said, you know what? I'm not feeling it today, or he's not, he's having an off day. And I think it would be better if we just said, you know what, we're just going to try another day. Because I think a lot of people look at that as, oh, you got to show them who's boss and all that baloney. And the new way, enlightened riding, or as you say, encouraging the riders, is that they have feelings too. They're 50% of this, right? So if somebody in that partnership is off for the day, which happens to everybody and horses, then we should just say, hey, you know what, we can do this again another day, right?
Exactly. And that's such a beautiful way to be. And it's like any relationship. You have to just make sure everyone's on board.
Right. Right. Now you talked about, so your lessons right now, are they all long distance, or do you do a combination of some in person and some long distance?
It used to be all in person. And then since I had injuries and moved, it turned into mostly remote. And now I do have a local student. I have 2 or 3 local students that I work with, but as I'm in recovery right now from another surgery, that'll kick back up probably another month or 2. Yes.
So how does it work? Do they send you a video of what they're experiencing, or do they just get on a Zoom with you and just talk about what's happening with their horse?
We do it both ways. And I also have a group. So what happens is they post videos in the group, and then I will comment very briefly, and then at the end of the month, I create a huge PDF of insights for everyone to look at from the videos. So they can look at each other's insights and learn from each other. It's phenomenal.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then the ones who want to do privately, they'll send me videos like straight to my phone or just Messenger. And then sometimes they'll have to get on the phone with me. And then other times we do once a week video chat just like this. And we just go over what I've seen in the videos and give them strategies. It's so much fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And it's so funny because you wouldn't think, back in the day, you wouldn't think that this is even possible, but it is possible because you're looking at it as either it's happening or right after it happens. So it's super easy for you to jump in. Now, you do also do readings of horses in terms of, if I didn't want help with my riding, but I wanted to know like what's bothering my horse, or, if we just had a recent move, is there something I need to change? You do that as well. Is that right?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes. So my animal communication service, basically, I have people send me photos and then send me questions. Mm-hmm. And then what I do is I get into my meditative state, and then I tune in with the horse with the picture, and then I usually see them, and then they start talking to me through free writing. So I tell them, you just tell me what you want me to tell your owner, and it's like they dictate to me what to write.
Right.
Through their words. It's amazing.
Yep. That's awesome.
And then I also just get like random images and pictures and feelings. And I usually feel things going on in their body, and then I ask them to confirm. So, yeah.
Wow. So, and then do you send that to the person like over a Zoom, or do you email them, type it up in email? Okay.
It's just email. So it works out so we don't have to worry about scheduling either. I just let them know I'll get it done within a certain amount of time. And, obviously if it's an emergency, I try to do it sooner, but usually it works out really well that way, because then I can make sure I'm in a really good state to tune in. So if I wake up and I have a migraine, I'm like, I don't think I should tune in today. You can't. It's not going to happen. Gets that, and they understand I'm human, and they're totally cool to wait, which is awesome.
And energy work takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of processing, right? Yes. So you've got to get yourself. I have little rituals to get myself grounded, and then I have rituals in between sessions where I'll go into the bathroom, rinse my hands, and clap a few times, and it helps clear the energy. Oh, gotcha. So okay.
That's a good thing to do. Like if you're like seeing a lot of different people, or if you just come home from the supermarket and you feel like you've been attacked by a lot of weird energy, just go right to the sink and then rinse your hands and clap 3 times.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Okay.
And it's like, showers are always the best, but if you don't have time to shower, it's a good way to do it.
Yeah. Well, if you're at the barn, you can just wash your hands and clap. So then you're off. Because sometimes, you might be going to the barn and you've had a bad day, but you really, some of us travel far, right? Sometimes we used to travel 45 minutes each way. So by the time you get there, you're trying to come out of it because you do want to approach your horse in a great way with a high vibe, but you're just kind of not there yet. So that's a really good idea as well, because the water just kind of cleanses and just kind of
and especially if you've been in traffic and you feel tight, it's just good to go, okay.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it sounds like you're doing so many great things. I would love to know your thoughts on and the reason I'm asking this question is I am, along with people like yourself, are trying to change the environment of the equestrians. It's mostly fear-based and ego-based riding and it's been like this a long time. Yeah. What we're trying to do is change that into one of a more supportive environment that's kind and gentle to not only ourselves, our other friends that are riders, and our horses. Yes. How do you see what you do changing into, helping that type of environment, really like fostering a caring environment for both horse and rider?
Well, I definitely do that in my lessons, but I've developed a pretty good sized group right now on Facebook. It's free for anyone to join, and I can see little shifts happening with people just from things that I put out there in the world. So of course I've got online courses in the animal communication and the remote coaching, but just by putting myself out there in the public eye and saying, hey, you don't have to be so harsh. And then I was also really blessed to be a part of that Listening to Your Horse documentary.
I have not seen that yet.
It's wonderful. Yeah, I'll send you the information.
Yeah, send it to me. I'd love to see it.
And one of my clients actually directed me and said, Beth, you should write in to be a part of it. And I didn't think much of it. Sure enough, they chose me. I was like, this is so cool.
Yay, that's awesome.
So for being part of that, I actually got a lot more friend requests and people finding my website. So I feel like just little by little, just keep putting it out there into the world. I mean, my biggest message for equestrians is slow down, listen to your horse, and listen to yourself.
What do you think that the horse's largest messages are for not just equestrians, but for humans?
That we move too fast, but they really are willing to work with us, and they want to show us how powerful we are, because so many times we give up our power, we don't trust ourselves, and there's so much self-doubt, and the horses are just waiting for us to just step into our magnificence.
Right.
And and then they can, tell us exactly what they need as soon as we feel that power and that connection.
It's a totally different feeling when you ride from a place of power than from a place of fear.
Right.
And I feel, in my experience, riding from fear is never a good thing. You have a nervous horse, a nervous rider. That's not a good package. As you know, everyone knows that. The question always is, how do we get there? And I'd like to go back to the mounting block if we could, because that is where a lot of us have that fear, right before you swing your leg over. So, grooming's great and you're putting on the tack and everything's going good. And you might get that little voice, but you're trying to squash it in the back. And then, we're going to get there. And then that's the time where you really can't pretend anymore, right? Because you're really going to get on now.
Yeah.
What tips do you have besides the putting your hands on the neck and then the rump? Is there anything else that someone can do if they're feeling a little bit nervous right before they swing their leg over or after they just get on?
So just before you get to the mounting block, you can do some stretches and then just check in with your body. So again, what I mentioned is muscle testing. The one way to do that is basically just say out loud your name. And just while you're standing there, just notice if you lean forward or back. And then say something that is not your name, and then notice if you lean forward or back. So usually leaning forward means yes, leaning back means no. So you can actually ask your body how you're feeling and if you really are ready to ride. So that's one thing.
Okay.
And the second thing I learned recently in a clinic is to literally shake out your tension. So you just take one hand, you just really shake it out. So you're just kind of letting that go. And then another really cool thing is a Qigong move that I do is I just start letting my arms swing back and forth, and it hits the sides of my body. And what it does, it reminds you to be in your body. It kind of activates all of your energy. Mm-hmm. So then connect. And then, like I said, you want to breathe and wiggle your toes and just feel your body being present. And then when you do that, then you can feel, okay, I'm really with my horse. And then if you still have nervousness, then you might not want to get up. And you have to honor that. So it's really good.
You have to honor where you are. It's okay. Yeah. You are where you are, right? Just as if your horse is, he or she is where they are. So, it's okay to say, he or she is where they are today. Today's not a good day. Today's a great day. It just depends on where you are, and you have to honor that because you want to give yourself the same courtesy you would give to your horse. Most of us are so forgiving of our horses, but we don't forgive ourselves.
Yes. And
we're so hard on ourselves. Like, you missed that turn and, your hand's not correct. And I'm sure you've noticed this, even when people post things online, a picture online, and it's just meant for friends or just, hey, look what I'm doing. And then the trolls start with, oh, you're not in the right placement. How could you do this? And the saddle's terrible. And it's like, guys, just be supportive of each other. It's okay if things aren't complete. It's never going to be perfect, right?
Right. It's just a moment in time. And that's why I created my group. I call it a supportive group for horse people. And I'm very strict. And if anyone's naughty, they get kicked out.
Yeah, good. That's good.
So they have to stay nice and kind to everyone.
So it seems like you've gotten a lot of support. So people are really responding to this in a good way, which I love.
Yes, it's so wonderful to see how it's just blooming, and it blows me away. And I'm just so grateful to see it.
That's awesome. And I especially love it in between disciplines, because I feel like there's not only divisions for, the different breeds, right? If you ride, a thoroughbred and this person doesn't have a thoroughbred, they're going to say something that way. But then there's also, oh, you ride Western, oh, I ride English and I'm above you, or vice versa. Yeah. So I love it that I just think, we're all riding horses and we're all humans. And what's it going to cost me if I say, hey, Beth, you had an awesome ride today.
Right.
I mean, that's the way it should be.
Yes.
Right. Right.
Totally.
I love that.
Yeah. And then one other tip is when you first get on, just take your time. Like, don't rush off. A lot of times when I get on, I just say, thank you for letting me sit on you. And then I scratch them and I try to get them feeling really good.
Yes.
And I take the telepathy and the animal communication a step further. And then I kind of tune in and say, okay, what would you like to work on today? and then I let them talk to me. So if you're at that level where you're ready to connect, you can just ask your horse how they're feeling as well before you even get on. So
Yep.
that's a really fun thing to play with as well.
I love doing that. I love doing that. And I always ask permission. Even before I get on, I've had this horse for 13 years, I still always ask, can I come into your stall? Because
Beautiful.
that's like me going to your house, Beth, and just barging right in and being like, hey, what's going on? I mean, you got to think of it the way they're thinking of it, right? So they don't know why you're there. They're thinking probably she's here to ride, but what if you're here to trailer somewhere, which they don't know where you're going? Communicating with them and having that open conversation, which a lot of people think is woo-woo, but it's really just common courtesy. Is it okay if I come in today? And you're always going to, most of the time, I've never gotten a no, but usually it's always a yeah, sure. But it's just that little ask seems to change the trajectory of how the work's going to go for the day. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. And it's just showing them that sign of respect.
Right.
Like, hey, are you ready to do this? And then also if you say it out loud, it helps them understand exactly what the plan is.
Absolutely. Now, what are your thoughts on visualization? I would love to know what you're thinking because, and I'm not going to say what I think. Let's hear what you think about visualization when you're riding your horse and what you would like to accomplish with them.
Oh, well, I feel like most of the time they think in pictures and they pluck the pictures out of our minds. So when we're doing things like, say I'm about to do a canter transition, I imagine the most perfect canter transition possible. It sets my body up and then my horse knows exactly what they want. And then I say, are you ready? Out loud. And then they're like, yes, we're doing it. So I just think it's the best way. And my favorite is I was in a lesson, and whenever I'm in a lesson, I'm really focused on what the instructor's saying.
Yes.
And sometimes I'll actually forget about visualizing and I wasn't getting something. And then I was like, wait, hold on. Let me do this real quick. And then I visualized. And then she's like, well, why didn't you do that in the first place? I'm like, I just forgot. I'm human.
Yeah. Give yourself a break sometimes. But I know that they can pick up pictures in our minds.
Yes.
For instance, if I'm feeling nervous and I want my horse to walk slow, I picture an elephant's feet. You know how big they are, and they walk very slow.
I love that.
And he will slow down. Like I just picture the feet going slow, because I've always been taught not to talk too much so that when you do talk, they really are listening, because if you're chattering quite a bit, they can just tune out.
Yes.
Do you agree with that as well?
It does happen too.
And it's a nervous thing. You know, we're kind of like just chatting with our trainers, hoping that they won't make us do something that we're kind of scared to do.
Yeah, that's something I mentioned to other instructors. And I'm like, notice if your student either gets really quiet or they talk too much. Then those are two signs to pay attention.
So do you train not only riders, but you train trainers as well to work with students?
I've written a guidebook for them, and that would be my next level. I would love to get, once I have another facility, I'd love to get working students in and teach them to teach the way I've been doing it. And it would be awesome to create a legacy that way.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome, because think how many lives you would touch.
Yes.
And how many horses would benefit.
So fun.
Right?
Totally. Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool. So you've got the animals, you've got the readings, you've got the training, in which you do either in person, but mostly it's done over video or Zoom it, whatever. And then you've also got the training, you've written books, and you've got the training for the trainers as well. So in terms of more of a legacy, what else do you see for yourself in the future?
Well, I've also written a fiction book, and I will keep going with that. And
cool.
It's also about connecting with animals and time travel. So it's like sci-fi adventure. So it's really fun.
I love that. So now I'm going to go down the little woo-woo a little bit, because I don't, it's not woo-woo for us, but it's some of the listeners, I'm sure you're going to get this. We all have, I believe, soul contracts. We have soul contracts with people. We have soul contracts, your family, you have soul contracts with your family. You have soul contracts with animals, that you've come back to this earth to learn certain lessons. And these people, whether they give you a positive or negative experience, you've already pre-programmed and asked to come into your life to teach you. And in terms of horses, what do you think that let's just pretend I have a very difficult horse right now, and I'm not able to get over some of the hurdles that we're facing. And I'm not sure if I should keep this horse. But I feel like there's a connection there. There's a bond there. What are your thoughts of soul contracts and how that impacts the riders and the owners of these horses?
I think it's a huge impact, and it's something that should be acknowledged a little bit more. Some people are really quick to change up horses, and then when they do, the same issue comes up, which is, again, the same lesson they need to learn. Now, it could be a lesson that you need to learn how to forgive yourself and the horse and move on.
Yep.
Or it could be something that you really need to keep working on and just learn how to slow down and break it down and do different things with that horse. So you just never know. I mean, the best way is to just continue exploring. So if you do feel a strong connection, then it just means you'll need to explore more what you'll need to do and not give up. And if it feels like it's too much of angst, or you feel like you might get hurt, then that's where your lesson might be that you just have to forgive and let go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that there are horses for every person and at every level that you're at. Some are only in our lives to take us to a certain level, and then they have to go to the next person and maybe go back, because that's their little zone of genius, right? As you said, they were there to, it's just like people, they enter your life for just a season, maybe to teach you a lesson, and then they leave, and then you go on to the next lesson. But there are heart horses that I believe are once or twice in a lifetime that they come to us. We have that special bond, and it's unbreakable, and it doesn't matter. It's not about showing. It's not about the work. It's about that relationship that you have with the horse. What are your thoughts on heart horses for humans?
Well, they are amazing, first of all.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been blessed to have two clear ones. And it's like being married to me. It's a sacred bond.
Yep.
And even though they both passed on, they still talk to me, and they have little signals to show me things. And I actually still write stories through them. It's amazing.
Wow.
So when you're blessed enough to have a heart horse, you never want to take it for granted. It's just the most beautiful thing. And for me, it was my little Arabian, the first one. I still remember the day we met. It was at that school in California where I was the assistant. And she said, "This is your lesson horse you'll get to work with." And I walked up to him and I went, "Oh, you're cute." And I immediately heard, "So what are you going to do for me?" And he was a little Polish Arabian. He was actually a stallion longer than he should have been, and actually bred a little bit. And then he was doing Western Pleasure, and then we were doing jumping and English. And then I did Western Pleasure with him to appease him because he loved it. And I had him for 14 years, and it was amazing. And he would teach every kind of student. And if they were off balance, he would stop. If a kid lost a stirrup, he would turn his nose and go, "Mom, fix."
Wow.
He was just, his name was Solid Gold, his show name, but I changed it to Heart of Gold because that's what he was.
Wow.
And he was just the sweetest, kindest horse ever. And I could just get on him with no tack and just wander around our property, and we would just hang out. And that was something my husband likes to mention. He's like, "I just love that connection. I hope you get that again one day with another horse."
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Was really cool. Yeah.
What about now, there are horses, there are riders that love to, let's just say, jump.
Mm-hmm.
And there are horses that love to jump, but there are also horses that don't love to jump. So every horse, for the listeners out there that don't know, they not only have their own personalities and their own voices, but they also have their own likes and dislikes. So let's pretend that I have a horse and I love to jump, and I have this horse and I love this horse, but I'm feeling like maybe he's not enjoying it as much as I am. Have you seen that in any of your clients or experienced that? And if so, how did you kind of broach that subject with them?
I'm just honest with them. I don't beat around the bush. I'm like, "Hey, I don't think your horse is liking this. So we can do other disciplines, or find a way where he could enjoy it, or, might be time to find a horse that enjoys what you do.
Right.
I mean, when I was a child, that event horse of my trainers loved to jump so much that my first show experience, thank goodness it was an indoor arena, we were going around beautifully and we finished the finishing circle. I was about to leave the arena. He caught sight of another jump and just kept going. And we jumped like 5 extra jumps and we're just galloping around. And I'm like 11 and I was so tiny then. And my trainer finally was like, steer him into the wall because I couldn't stop him.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
And, but then there's the Arabian that I was talking about, my cart horse. He hated jumping because his previous trainer rushed him through it and got him freaked out. So he would literally, I could feel him almost like go as fast as he could. I could almost feel like he was closing his eyes over the jumps. Like he was just so nervous.
Yeah.
So I was able to talk to him about it and say, hey, I'd really like to do this with you. I know you're talented. Can we make it better? He's like, I just need you to talk me through it.
Oh.
So I was like, okay, we're going to the one with the yellow flowers. You got this. And he's like, okay. And then he settled down. So sometimes it's just a matter of asking them what they need to make them feel more comfortable.
Right, right. Or going in steps, because a lot of times, as I say, today's horse is not yesterday's horse or tomorrow's horse. They may not remember all the training that happened. So yesterday they could have a great day with it and today not so much. So maybe you need to step back a little bit and go back to basics, or give them a little bit of a day off or a timeout. Like, hey, we're just going to do groundwork. I always bring up groundwork because I feel like groundwork is the safe place, but you can still learn and you can still have that connection, right? I mean,
totally.
Do you agree with that? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or
Wow.
even just going on a walk with them, like, connect with them that way. It's so simple and people don't always think about it. So.
Yeah. That's what they always say to me. Keep it simple. Keep it simple.
Exactly.
Because they speak very simply. They don't sugarcoat anything. They want you to just use the words I give to you and keep it simple. Like, don't try to get all eloquent. Just, this is what I need. This is what I want. This is what I like. This is what I don't like.
Totally.
So in terms of what's next for you, are you writing any other books in the works?
I will be. Right now, I'm focused on going to be creating a couple of things behind the scenes in technology. I don't want to talk about it too much yet until I actually do.
Oh, come on. Okay.
I will tell you that I definitely want to create like little cards, inspirational cards.
Oh, cool.
That people keep encouraging me to do. I was about to do it before my last surgery. So that's going to be something. And then, I'm just going to continue going with my group coaching for sure. And then I do need to start working on my script again. I wrote a children's script called The Riding School. And it's kind of a fun idea in that the horses start talking to one working student.
Oh, cool.
And then she starts to figure out what they need in order to like save the day kind of thing.
Oh, cool.
So
I love
that
it.
one's pretty fun. So I would like to revisit that. I have a lot of projects. So it's just a matter, like I said, I wake up in the morning and then I ask my inner guidance, what am I doing today? So today was just all about, preparing to chat with you, doing a couple of communication sessions, and then working on my new vision board.
Yay. So let's talk about that a little bit in terms of not talking about the horses, but let's talk about our intuition and how that's guiding you, and what advice you might give to the listeners if they've started something and they've kind of gone down a road, but now it might feel like it's not as fruitful as they thought it would be. And maybe they need to change gears. What are your thoughts on that?
I just think that so many people don't take the time to really get grounded and listen to their inner guidance. Mm-hmm. And we all have what I call angel guides that can help us. Yes. And the way I do it, I literally just sit down. I have a specific journal. I have so many journals.
Me too. Me too.
This is why we like
it's ridiculous.
So I just sit down and I just let things flow, and then they'll give me messages of what I need, and I'll just say, okay, what is it I need to focus on today? And for some people, it might just be sitting, getting quiet and meditating and breathing, and they might not get any insight, but at least they're honoring that quiet time with their body. Yep. So many times people just wake up and they just grab their coffee and they go right to the internet and they just get that buzzing static right away. And I just think it's so important If you're feeling like you're a little bit lost, just turn off the TVs, turn off the radio, turn off your phone, and just get quiet and like wait and see what your inner guidance wants to tell you.
Yes. Yes. I love that. And that's so true. And honoring just that space that you've created for yourself, create a sacred space for yourself, and ask your guides to come in. I always ask the angels to come in and protect yourself. And you do have to wait a little bit. It's not always instantaneous, but they're there to help you, but you've got to allow them to help you. Right?
Yes, they're just waiting for you to ask. They won't step in unless you ask for
right.
them.
They won't, they can be all around you, but you need to ask them to come in and help you and allow them to give you that guidance. I'm open to receiving that guidance. And I'm the same way that Beth is. I can channel as well. And that's very fun and cool, which basically means that I sit and I get quiet, and then I take a pen and I write with my eyes closed. It's just kind of a process. And that's why we're laughing about the journals, because, and then you have to transcribe them, but it can be about anything. It can be, you can ask questions about yourself, right? Or do you ask questions maybe about the horse, or you can ask questions you're talking about, what would my career look like? And I just heard this one from my coach. What would it look like if it was easy and fun? Do you ever ask that question?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's been their message, right? Most recently, of course, like, yeah, there's no reason to stress, just relax, allow it to happen, and you'll be inspired each day for something new. And it's like, oh, how easy is that? So.
It's easy, but for those of us that are impatient, like myself, what would you tell the listeners if they've been working on something and they're saying, I am meditating and I am getting messages and I'm doing all that, but I'm still not really seeing the fruits of my efforts. I'm trying to be patient, but I'm really kind of like, it's been a long time. I need a win. What else could they do?
I would suggest just trying something completely different that day.
Oh, like just get out of the same old and just try something completely out of the box.
Shake it up.
Yeah.
They might need to go somewhere different. They might need to decide to turn off everything for the whole day. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Or they might need to just go and hang out with their horses with a book and sit there all day.
Oh man, I love that. I've got to tell you something. I working on documentary, and I went to a place that's PATH certified. So they have Vietnam veteran was there working with the horses, and he never rode, and he brought a book and he would read the book to the horses. And I'm not kidding you, Beth. So if he's here and this is the entrance to the barn, and then there was a board, right? They were all out of their stalls. They all came around him as he read. It was really just an energy, like, I'm here for you. Yeah. And I kind of know what you're saying, but not really, but I'm okay. And it was so healing for him.
That's beautiful. I love it.
I would love to give people that are listening that don't have the experience with horses these type of experiences, because just being with them, they are healing. Do you know?
Heart centers are so much bigger, and it's like their energy field feels like they're hugging us as soon as we get close to them.
Yeah. Is it because they're so much bigger than we are? Is that why that is?
Their heart center is bigger, and their energy field is bigger. I believe it's called Heart Math. I did a study on it as well. And basically, when you connect with the horse that way, they will heighten your emotions. So I never understood it when I was a younger trainer, and people would start, like brand new students would just start telling me their whole life story. I'm like, well, what do I do with this? And then I was totally normal. Like as soon as they're connecting with the horse, their heart opens, and then they just have to spill everything. And I became a confidant, and I'm like, maybe I should have studied psychology, but I'm very good about kind of regulating everything now. So but it's so true. I mean, as soon as you're around them, their energy field will just help calm you and help you stay grounded if you allow it.
And then now you're also using vision boards as well for yourself?
Yes.
Okay. Any thoughts on that, or any tips that you want to give to the listeners?
Yeah, it's amazing. So when you're in some space where you're looking at something all the time, and after like a year, start to walk around and look at the things you've been looking at and notice if anything has changed. So, for instance, I had a wonderful photo, a poster from the show Cavalia,
Yep.
and it was a gentleman with his arms stretched out, jumping over a jump on a beautiful bay horse. And then in front of it were these two little Andalusian-looking horses. Okay, so this is what I had been looking at for a year. The following year, I got a horse that I could start jumping with my arms out, was a bay horse. And I had the opportunity for 3 months to ride 6 Andalusian stallions to help train them in dressage.
What?
And then all of a sudden, it was like, I say 4 months later, I looked at that corner and I went, oh, I get it now.
Wow.
That's so cool. So now what I do is when I create my vision board, I think about the things that I would like to be doing in the future. And I find really good specific photos that will make me feel good, or words or phrases that'll just uplift me.
Yes.
And the reason I'm doing a new one is after this surgery, I realized I really enjoy the animal communication sessions and the remote coaching, and I still want to ride. However, I don't want to be as active as I used to be as a young coach, teaching all the time and doing so much. So the vision board I have right now is actually not congruent with my thoughts. It's almost like too busy, too active. So I'm going to redo it and make it more doable for me, and so I'll feel good about it and not feel angsty about it.
Yeah, because you're supposed to feel good about it. It's supposed to pump you
Yes.
up and get you excited. I feel the same way.
Yes.
I've got my vision board over there, and I've got destinations of where I want to go, and I've got a car on there that I really want, and but then I've got a lot of spiritual things too. So it can be whatever you want it to be. It's
Absolutely.
your board. Nobody has to see it. But when you're working and you're looking at something every single day, that's what gets into your subconscious.
Yes.
And then that whole mindset work of I can do this and make a path to however that, what your intuition says, right? As
Absolutely.
you said, what would be best for me today? What should I work on today? And sometimes, as you said, that means closing everything down and going out for a walk.
Yes.
Or going outside of your box, doing something completely different. I was telling my sister, we live near the beach here, and we have rides for just $20 that you can go up in a helicopter just around the beach real quick.
Oh, wow.
It's like, we should do that just to break it up, something fun. Like sometimes you need something that's different to appreciate what you have and to get your juices flowing. So you're thinking about, oh my gosh, what about this idea? Like that's how your mind gets new ideas, right?
Exactly. Or I call it the magical place, the bathroom. When I'm in a shower, I get lots of ideas.
You know
so
what?
I think the water flowing helps.
The water flowing helps. You know where I get all my ideas? On the treadmill.
Oh, nice.
It's so
the blood
weird.
circulation. Yeah, that makes
so
sense.
weird. But every time I'll be thinking, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I literally have to take it out and put it on my notes because, things, you write stuff down just in and out.
Right. Should you like a press record, make a little video of yourself talking?
I should. And let's talk about real quick before I let you go. We need to talk about, I always ask this question, the people that have phones while they're riding. So they're on their horse, it's the end, and they're just kind of walking around. And I don't know if you've seen this, but I go to a barn and there's a lot of this, they're talking or they're looking at their phone. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first, it's a safety issue.
Yes, huge.
First, safety issue, not good. You're not paying attention. Your horse can spook. You can be ejected quick. So that's one thing to consider. The second thing to consider is you are not being present with your horse, and that's not nice.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
They are giving you their best. You need to give them your best, vice versa as well.
Yeah. So the best thing is if you have to have your phone for emergencies, keep it in a little pouch, or some people have the things on there. I have them on my pants or in the boot, however you need it for safety, but you should not be looking at it at all when you're riding. That's just a big no-no.
It happens all the time, but maybe because I'm of a certain age, we just don't do that. We didn't grow up that way, but I always think of it like this. I mean, Beth, I have like 1,000+ pounds underneath me with a brain. Okay. So I need to concentrate on this because this thing can go really, horses can change direction so quickly and it can be in a millisecond. And let's not forget they're ahead of us in what they perceive as dangerous or anything. Could be a flying dinosaur, anything at all.
Yeah.
they're ahead of us. We don't even see it. And we're like, oh yeah, now I see it. And they're already past there. Like, oh yeah, I saw that 10 minutes ago. Right.
Totally. Yeah. And I've also been guilty of it because I've tried to like just film the feeling of being on the horse and it just be really nice for a few seconds. But then I get to thinking, this is dangerous, Beth. I should not be doing this. So I don't do it anymore.
Yeah, it's dangerous. I guess the only way to do it would be to put like a helmet cam, so at least your hands are still.
Yes, that aspect, that's.
But that's
better,
that's not a phone, you know.
No. Or you have someone leading your horse at least, so at least you have a pony ride. It's somewhat safer, but.
You know, I love the fact that you go back to the pony rides because it doesn't matter how long you've had your horse or what level you are. We can always go back to the basics, and I always feel better, even if I don't have a trainer, but I just have, we call it eyes on the ground. It can just be a friend. And I don't know why that is. Maybe you can explain it, but just having another human there, I feel bolder. Why is that?
It's because they're there as protection. So if something were to happen, in the back of your mind, they're back up for you.
Right.
So it's a safety thing.
Right.
And then I've actually talked about buddy systems where you can text someone before you ride and give them a sense of when you'll be done. And then if you don't text them within that time, then they know to, call in the troops. And then they also have safety apps you can have on your phone. So if you have it in your pouch and you don't check in at a certain time, then your contacts will be contacted, or even the emergency people.
That's good because especially if you're on the trail. And as a matter of fact, I just heard about a man who was on a bicycle and he went down a ravine and he had on one of those Apple iPhone, but they were, on his wrist, and he had programmed it to call like 2 people. And because of that, because he was unconscious, because of that, it automatically did it for him. And then people could find him and they were there in like 30 minutes. So if you're on the trail and you're not with somebody, things can happen, right? So, and you can get lost.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
Yes.
That's
and then the other thing I came up with for some of my clients who have a lot of friends who have the capacity to be on a video chat is they could literally just put them on video chat on a bench.
Yeah.
and they could be at work and just kind of keep an eye on their friend riding.
It's like, oh my gosh, I never thought about that.
If you're just riding in the arena. That was my random thought the other day.
Good idea. Like a buddy,
Isn't that
like
fun?
Chat buddy or something.
And then you can create a whole group for that. Like, hey, are you guys around this time? Can we do video chat? And then you hook up with people that way. So
I love it. I love it. I love all the positivity that you're bringing to the sport. I just think that there's so much growth that can happen if we can just support each other, help each other, and imagine if we were as kind to each other and ourselves as the horses are to us. It would be, because I know for me, and I'm sure for you, maybe we are very tough on ourselves, and we speak to ourselves worse than anyone else ever could, and we beat ourselves up. So if you can let go of maybe that and change that mindset too, it's an opportunity to learn. It was a moment in time, as you said, it's a lesson, and whatever happened yesterday, that's yesterday. Today, we're going to learn something new and make it fun, like create that high vibe, because this is an honor to be with these animals.
Yes, exactly.
Huge.
And that's totally what I had shifted to, because I used to be very hard on myself. And now I'm just in awe. And I remind every student, even little kids, it's amazing that you get to sit on this horse, isn't it?
Yes.
And then we just shift everything to gratitude.
Yes.
And then you're like, oh, everything's awesome. Like, why would I even be hard on myself right now? I'm alive. I get to sit on a horse. My body's working. It's like that simple.
Yeah. Keep it simple. I mean, these are creatures that are just letting us gracefully ride them and be with them. And they are so healing. So it's wonderful. And it's an honor. It's an honor to own a horse. It's an honor to ride a horse. It's never a given. So be kind to your horse, be kind to yourself, be kind to other people, because everybody's struggling, right? It doesn't matter where you are, what discipline, amateur, professional, everybody's got struggles. Nobody's perfect.
Everybody's got stuff.
We're all trying our best.
Exactly. That's all we can hope for. So,
Well, I'm thrilled that you were here, Beth. I can't thank you enough for being here. I love what you're doing. And I love the tips that you gave. And I have all of her social media. She mentioned the Facebook group. You can put that down. I've got her Instagram, her Facebook, and the website where you can reach her. It's inspiredriding.com. I'll have all the links below. And she also has the free mini course. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. Well, basically, how I mentioned the mounting block ritual, it takes you through 5 really simple but profound lessons. And you just sign up, and that's a great way to stay connected with me, because then you'll get more emails from me on occasion, and you'll get to see all the fun things that we provide with. I do 5-day challenges in the group and all sorts of offers by being on the email list. But when you sign up for the mini course, you get to go directly to the website and go through the 5 lessons. And then it's a beautiful way to connect to yourself and connect to your horse to set you up for a great ride. And even if you don't ride that day, you can use those lessons before you even get on and just do groundwork too. It's really fun.
Also, they're probably timeless, so you can use them anytime, right?
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we're going to have all the links below. Beth, I can't thank you enough for being here. So Beth Lauren Parrish, she is amazing. I'm going to have the links. Check her out below. I want you to look her up on Facebook and Instagram and check out her website, because I know you're going to have some cool new things coming out as well. And she's available for readings, for training, and join the Facebook group, right? Because I know you have challenges, so that'll be fun.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. This was a pleasure.
Yay. Thank you for being here, Beth. I really appreciate it. Okay, everybody, have a great day.